We're going to use the same example that we worked through in class, but this time we're going to approach it slightly differently. So it's a three-good model, good 1, good 2, good 3, and you've got quantity demanded and quantity supplied in each market. And you can see that there are the three variables that we need to solve for, P1, P2, P3 in each market. Alright, so our starting point is to set quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied for each good. So we've got quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied, and that is in each market. We do the same. And once we have set these equal to each other, we then want to set these equations equal to 0 so that we have all our terms on the left-hand side. So that is what we see going from step 1 to step 2. We've got the equation set equal to 0 in each market. So we end up with the three equations for each good. Okay, equation 1, 2, and 3. And we have our three unknowns, the three variables that we need to solve for, P1, P2, and P3. Alright, so you saw all of this in our class example. Our next step now is to determine which variable we are going to start with eliminating. So in working through this in class, we decided to eliminate variable P2 first. Here we will take a slightly different approach and decide to eliminate P1 first. The next step is then to choose two pairs of equations to work with. Again, it's slightly different from our approach in class. Here we are going to work with equations 1 and 2, and then equations 2 and 3, whereas in class we worked with equations 1 and 3 as our first pair, and then 2 and 3 as our second pair. We will start now working with equations 1 and 2, and remember that we want to eliminate variable P1. So what I'm going to do is I will rewrite equation 1 as is, and I'm going to multiply equation 2 by 11. Okay, so we'll take equation 2 and multiply it by 11. So 26 times 11, we will get 286. 1 times 11, we're going to get plus 11 P1, minus 6 times 11, minus 66 P2. 2 times 11 plus 22 P3. Okay, and we'll call this equation 4. Our next step now is going to be to add equations 1 and 4. Alright, so if we do that, we're going to end up with 31 plus 286 will give us 317. Minus 11 plus 11, 0. Plus 1 minus 66, we're going to end up with minus 65 P2. Plus 1 plus 22, we're going to end up with plus 23. Okay, so here we have what we will call equation 5, and you can see we have successfully eliminated variable P1, and we only have variable P2 and P3 in this equation. In the next step, we now work with equations 2 and 3, which I have written out here. And this is a little bit simpler because all we really need to do here to eliminate P1 is subtract equation 3 from equation 2. So if we do that, if you just want to change the signs, just to perhaps make it a bit easier, 26 minus 24, we end up with 2. P1 plus 1 minus 1, these cancel out. Minus 6 minus 2, you get minus 8 P2. Plus 2 plus 7, we get plus 9 P3 equals 0. And we can call this equation here number 6. And you can see again what we end up with is an equation with just P2 and P3 in it. We have successfully eliminated P1. What we are now going to work with is equations 5 and 6. So I've taken equation 5 and equation 6, written them out here, and what we now have is two equations with two unknowns. Our next step is, if we continue with the method of eliminating variables, is to determine the next variable we want to eliminate and how we go about that. So if I choose now to eliminate variable P3, the way I'm going to do this is I will take equation 5 and multiply that by 9. And if we take all these numbers here and multiply them by 9, we're going to end up with 317 times 9, which is 2853, minus 65 times 9, 5P2, plus 23 times 9 will give us 207 P3. And then if we take equation 6 and multiply that by 23, we're going to get 2 times 23 is 46. 8 times 23 will give us 184. Plus 9 times 23 will give us 207 P3. Okay, and we can call these now equations 7 and 8. And if we subtract equation 8 from equation 7, so let's just change the signs just to make it a bit easier. We're going to get 2853 minus 46 gives us 2807, minus 585 plus 184 minus 401 P2, and here we're going to successfully eliminate P3, which is the variable I chose to eliminate, plus 207 minus 207 equal to 0. So now what we can do is solve for P2. We divide 2807 by 401. We're going to end up with an answer of 7. Okay. Now what we can do is we can take the value of 7 for P2 and substitute that back into either equation 7 or 8. So if we take equation 8, for example, and we substitute in for P2, we'll end up with these values here, and then it's a fairly straightforward calculation in order to solve for P3. What we will end up with is minus 1242, 207 P3 equals 0, and 7. We solve for P3, we are going to get 6. Alright, so now we have P2 equal to 7, we've got P3 equal to 6, and all that remains is to solve for P1, and to do this we can go back to any of our original equations 1, 2 or 3 and substitute in for P2 and P3 and then solve for P1. So if we take equation 1, and we substitute in, we'll get 7, 6 equals 0. 4, we solve for P1 equals 4, and if you go back to the class example that we worked through together, you will see we got the exact same values.